Started. Good afternoon and welcome to the Wednesday Lunchtime Drive-Thru on this August 5th. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you're having a great day. Today's topic, today's little bite. So again, this is the drive-thru and this is only 30 minutes. It's a very short class, but we are big on education here. My name is Damon King. I'm a certified financial planner, professional, and investment advisor, but I'm also the lead instructor for ChappelWood University, which is the educational branch of ChappelWood Financial Services. And so every week we come here on the Wednesday Lunchtime Drive-Thru and we talk about a different topic. And one of the biggest topics that I get questions about all the time is Social Security. I know many of you in the class today, you're already on Social Security, so your choice has already been made. Some of you are very young, and so Social Security is a long time away. But many of you are right there in that sweet spot where you're about to qualify for Social Security, or you are already at Social Security age and you haven't claimed it, so you're trying to decide, what should I do? So today, we're going to talk about some Social Security tips you can use, and specifically there are three that I want to share with you. There we go. All right. So I get this question a lot. I'm just going to dive right in. I get this question a lot. What is the difference between personal Social Security benefit, or the spousal Social Security benefit, and survivor benefits? And the question always is, if I claim my personal benefit now and I'm married and then my spouse dies later on, can I switch to the survivor benefit, or vice versa? The answer is yes, you can. So what I wanted to show you is that you do have some flexibility when it comes to Social Security, personal and spousal benefits versus the survivor benefit. What you need to know is that they are separate buckets of money. So when you apply for Social Security, you are applying for typically your own personal benefit, 100% of your own benefit, or if you're married, 50% of your spouse's benefit, and you simply take whichever one is higher. Now, if you are married and you have a spouse who perhaps has a higher Social Security benefit than you, later on, when that person dies, if they predecease you, you can switch to the survivor benefit, particularly if it's higher. And what that survivor benefit is going to be is 100% of what your surviving spouse has. So you can switch to survivor benefits. You can also switch from survivor benefits. So we're going to take a look at some examples here. So because this presents some interesting planning opportunities. So let's look at the first example. Let's say you claim your personal or your spousal benefit at full retirement age, and that's either going to be 66 or 67, depending on when you were born. Now, your spouse has their own benefit. They've got a higher benefit, all right? You can actually switch to your survivor benefit later and receive 100% of your deceased spouse's benefit. So let's say, again, that their benefit is higher than yours. You claim yours at full retirement age, and let's say you're getting $1,500 a month, and your spouse is getting $2,000 a month. Well, when your spouse passes away, you would be able to claim 100% of what they were getting, which is $2,000 as the survivor benefit. So you can switch. That's the situation where you start with your own benefit and you switch to the survivor benefit. Can it go the other way? The answer is yes. Let's say that your spouse passes away when you're very young. You're only 62 years old. And at that time, you go ahead and claim the survivor benefit, since you need the income because maybe they were still working and now you've lost that income, and so now they need that income. You can actually claim the survivor benefit at age 62, but allow your personal benefit to continue growing even beyond full retirement age. And then later on, you can switch to your own personal benefit because presumably at that time, it could be worth more than the survivor benefit. All right, so that's an important thing to know, is that you can switch to the survivor benefit, you can switch from the survivor benefit. And the way to know, you want to take a look at what your options are. You know, what's going to result in the most income for you. Here's another situation. Let's say spouse number one has a much larger benefit and they delay all the way to age 70, because that's the furthest that you can delay. Spouse two has a smaller benefit and goes ahead and claims at full retirement age. Why would you want to do something like this, where the higher earning spouse delays their benefit all the way to age 70, but the lower earning spouse goes ahead and claims at full retirement age? The reason you do something like this is that regardless of whoever the surviving spouse is going to be, that person is going to get the highest possible Social Security benefit. Okay, so let's say that you both die in your 80s. All right, whoever dies first, if the spouse number one who earned the higher benefit, if they delay to age 70, they're going to get the highest Social Security benefit. If spouse number two is the remaining survivor, what are they going to do? They're going to switch from their own benefit and they're going to switch to the survivor benefit and get the highest. So this is a really interesting planning strategy that we especially like to use with married couples when we've got one spouse that has a significantly higher benefit than another spouse. All right. And again, if you have any questions today on anything, you can ask me anything. Simply hover over your toolbar down at the bottom, click the Q&A, and you can type in your question right there. Let's go on to the next little option here. You can get a nice lump sum payment from Social Security. This is a really little known thing about Social Security, and so I wanted to talk about it. Now, the longest you can delay your Social Security is age 70. That's pretty well common knowledge, all right? But did you know that, let's say if you forget to enroll in Social Security at age 70, all right? You just forget about it. And then a few months goes by. And then you remember, oh, I forgot to claim Social Security. And now you're 70 years and 3 months, all right? Or it's 3 or 4, maybe 6 months past your age 70. Can you get retroactive benefits for that time period? The answer is yes, you can. It is possible to get a retroactive lump sum infusion of cash for past benefits. And this is a possible strategy for someone that needs an infusion of cash. So let's take a look at how this works, all right? So let's say that at age 70, you decide, you know what, I'm going to wait until I'm 70 and a half to claim my Social Security, because what happens is the Social Security Administration will pay retroactively up to 6 months of benefits. So if you forget to claim at age 70 and you claim at age 70 and a half, they will pay you, if you want, a retroactive lump sum of that 6 months that you should have been receiving income, and then you'll still get your age 70 amount, okay? You can also do this in other situations, but there are trade-offs in doing this, okay? Because why would you do something like this? Well, because you want an infusion of cash. Let's say at age 70, you bought a new car, you take a big trip, and you know that this trip's going to cost you a lot. They can give you a lump sum infusion of cash to make up for that 6 months that you should have been taking benefits. But there are trade-offs. Let's say that you claim at age 70 and any benefits that you have delayed benefits, because every year that you delay, you get 8% per year added to your benefit that you delay, right? But any delayed benefits that you get as a retroactive lump sum payment, those are going to be deducted from your monthly Social Security checks, right? Because if you got it as a lump sum, they're not going to add it to your checks and pay it out to you over time. So if you were supposed to have a 32% higher check, let's say that you wanted to take 6 months of lump sum retroactive benefits, and at age 70, you would have gotten 32% more. But instead you say, you know what? I want to claim as though I'm 69 and a half. I want those 6 months paid out to me as a lump sum. You can do that, but what it's going to do is it's going to eat into some of that enhancement. So your 32% increase is only going to be 28%. That deducted lump sum is going to be reduced and subtracted from any future survivor benefit that you might leave to your spouse. So you just need to know that. It may not be a big deal. Your spouse is still going to get a 28% enhanced check, but you just need to know that that enhancement, some of it's going to be taken up because you took it as a lump sum on the front end. Something else you need to know, retroactive benefits are not available for any period of time before full retirement age. So you cannot claim any retroactive lump sum on your Social Security for any time period before you get to either 66 or 67. Very important to know, all right? The other thing you need to know is, if you take a lump sum benefit as part of a retroactive payment for Social Security, and you claimed at 68, but you wanted to go back and claim as though you're 67 and a half, you can get that 6 months of income paid back to you. However, with all that income coming in at one time, what you need to understand is that it could increase your adjusted gross income above the Medicare thresholds, the income thresholds for increasing your Medicare premiums. Because your Medicare premiums, when you get on Medicare, are based upon your adjusted gross income. It's called the IRMA surcharge, the income related monthly adjustment amount. So remember, that lump sum, it's going to inflate your income, and that could inadvertently increase your total income and end up causing you an increase in your Medicare benefits a couple of years down the road. So you just need to know that. Here's an interesting strategy. I don't hear this talked about a lot. This is called the do-over strategy for Social Security. A lot of people don't realize that you can start your Social Security benefits, and at any point between 62 and 70, you can actually turn off your benefits. Okay, so let's say you claim at age 66, and you decided, I want to turn that off. You can do that, all right? If you turn off your Social Security benefit after you've started, any delay in more benefits will earn the 8% per year increase. This works even if you claimed before full retirement age, all right? So again, let's look at an example of how this might work, okay? So here's a do-over strategy Social Security example. Let's say that you claim Social Security when you're age 62. And when you do that, when you claim early, what happens? You get a reduction in your benefit. And if you claim at 62, you're going to get about a 25% reduction in your benefit from what you would get at full retirement age, all right? Now, a few years go by and you're 66, and now you regret your decision because your checks are smaller and they're going to be smaller for the rest of your life. Can you turn off your Social Security benefit and then allow it to continue growing? The answer is yes, you can. You can actually suspend your Social Security payments from age 66 to age 70. During that 4-year window of time, while you are suspending your payments, since you are beyond full retirement age, those payments are going to get an 8% bonus added to it. At age 70, when you turn Social Security back on, now the effect of those enhanced payments is going to now make your age 70 payment about 99% of what you would have received if you had claimed Social Security at full retirement age instead of early. This is a great strategy to think about if, maybe early on in retirement, something happens. Maybe you lose your job, you get laid off, and you're under your full retirement age. But because you need the income, you go ahead and take Social Security. And then a few years later, a job opportunity comes along or some other kind of investment opportunity comes along, and it generates a lot of income for you. Now you don't need that Social Security income. You have plenty of income coming from other sources. And because the more taxable income you have, the more of your Social Security can get taxed, you decide, you know what? I want to suspend my Social Security benefit. I don't need that income, and I really don't want to have it taxed like that. I'm going to turn it off. Later on, you can turn on Social Security at age 70, and maybe you don't have that other job anymore, so you can stagger your income that way. So it's cash flow management, all right? Now, one other caveat to using this strategy, all right? If you are married, and if you claim your Social Security benefit, and your spouse claims the spousal benefit based on your record, under the new laws, if you were to suspend your Social Security benefit, anybody else who is connected to your benefit, whether it's a spouse or a child, is going to have theirs cut off, all right? So in order to claim a spousal benefit, the spouse upon whose record that benefit is claiming also must be on Social Security, all right? So you need to understand that. You don't want to inadvertently cut off your spouse from income by suspending your own benefit, all right? So those are just a few of the Social Security tips that I wanted to share with you. And so again, we don't have a lot of time. We got about 15 minutes left here in our drive-through here on Wednesday for lunchtime. So what questions do you have? Do you have any Social Security questions? And you can also ask me any other questions you want to at this time related to Social Security, Medicare, investing, taxes, anything like that. Any questions that anybody has for me today? I'll give just a few minutes here to see if anybody has any questions. We've got a really great crowd here. I want to thank you all so much for joining us for the lunchtime drive-through. What are you having for lunch? Tell me what you're having for lunch. I'm having my cup of coffee that I brewed this morning, and I just keep reheating it like 18 times a day. Any questions from anybody? All right. Doesn't look like we have any questions coming in right now, so we may have a short lunchtime drive-through today. All right. But you can still ask me a question, but I want to move on just a little bit. So that was just a very brief lesson. Oh, we do have a question. All right. I've heard that, so Ralph asked the question, I've heard that Social Security will be broke in 2035 and may go needs-based. Do you agree? Well, so here's the situation. We hear that a lot, Ralph, that Social Security is going broke in 2035. Social Security itself is not going broke. In fact, Social Security cannot go broke because of the way it's funded. Social Security is funded by payroll taxes, all right? So long as we have a workforce, and so long as we collect payroll taxes, and so long as Social Security is funded by those payroll taxes, it will always have some money in it. Now, what is going broke, and this is really to the heart of your question, what's going broke is the Social Security Trust. So for 50 years, the baby boomers paid more and way more in taxes into Social Security, and Medicare for that matter, than benefits that were paid out. Well, now the baby boomers are retiring, so we have far fewer Gen Xers like me. I'm 43 years old, so there are a few Gen Xers and millennials generating taxes to pay for the benefits for baby boomers and the generation before them. So what's happening? We're pulling more and more money out of the Social Security and Medicare trusts so that we can bridge that gap. So what you've heard, Ralph, is it's partly true. What they're alluding to is the fact that the Social Security Trust, unless anything is done, if nothing is done right now to stem the tide, to change the way that Social Security is funded, the Social Security Trust will run out by around 2034, maybe 2035. And everybody on Social Security at that point is expected to take a benefit cut of about 25%. Or put it another way, you'll get about 75% at that time of what you would get now. Now, that's actually the good news. There's even more dire news. And part of the reason for that is the COVID-19 virus. So keep in mind that funding Social Security for future is a lot like investing, right? If you don't invest $1 today, it's not going to be worth, over time, the $10,000 you want it to be 20 years in the future, right? Because of compound interest, okay? What's happening right now, because we closed down the economy, people were out of a job, we had a bunch of salaries that weren't paid. Guess what? Social Security is struggling right now, not only because we're pulling money out of the trust, but we've had the better part of a 6-month period where there wasn't as much tax paid into the system. So now, not only are we dipping into the Social Security Trust, we're dipping into it harder because the benefits being paid today are being paid by the taxpayers of today. And since people haven't been working, there's a lot of payroll tax, Social Security and Medicare tax not being collected. Even just 6 months. 6 months of time where you don't collect enough money, later on down the road, it's like the butterfly effect, right? Butterfly flaps its wings now, has dire consequences later on in the future. It is possible that 2034 could be accelerated to 2030 instead, a little bit further down the road. Is it going to go needs-based? At this point, I would say no at this point, simply because Congress has made a contract with the public. You've had all these people paying taxes in. Now, what I think could happen is you might have a situation where Congress allows taxpayers to opt out of Social Security, meaning you can opt out of Social Security and you don't have to pay taxes into the system. But what that means is later on when you retire, you're not going to get a Social Security benefit. You're 100% on your own. I could see something like that coming into play. But right now, I'd be hard pressed to think that Congress will do a needs-based system simply because politically it's going to be like dynamite. It's going to be the plague. But I guess anything's possible. But one thing that we do need to have happen, the funding mechanism needs to get changed. More than likely what we're going to see is the full retirement age go up considerably. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a full retirement age go up to age 70 for a segment of the population. My full retirement age is 67. So anybody born 1960 and after is 67. Everybody else is 66. But it wouldn't surprise me if you see another level, anybody born 1985 and after is now age 70, something like that. So we're going to either have to see full retirement age go up, we're going to have to see taxes go up more than likely. That's how we're probably going to fix Social Security. Of course, the other option is just abolish it completely and have everybody on their own. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting thing. So great question. Thanks, Ralph. Any other questions that anybody has today? All right. You do still have some time to get your questions in. I do want to make sure that I respect your time and that we get done by 12:30 here. I want to tell you about our next upcoming class, Rocky Retirement. If you want to learn more, this was just a real small tidbit of what we talk about in our Rocky Retirement class. We are huge on education here at ChappelWood Financial, and we want you to be equipped with the knowledge that you need to be able to make the best retirement decisions. Whether you are in retirement now, you're close to retirement, or you still have 20 years to go for retirement, there's something for everybody in this class. And what Rocky Retirement is a class, 4 hours of education spread over 2 nights. We do it totally online, especially for the rest of 2020. And we just made the decision, because so many people are still dealing with job losses. You're dealing with situations where your income has been reduced. There's just a lot of uncertainty, a lot of volatility. We are making this class, which is ordinarily $50, we are making this class totally free for the rest of 2020. So we're going to teach you how not to run out of money in retirement. We're going to teach you 5 strategies for lowering or even eliminating your tax bill in retirement. We're going to teach you how to invest for income generation. We're going to teach you what you need to know about Medicare. What are your options for Medicare? When do you need to enroll? We're going to teach you what's the difference between a will and a trust and what should be in your estate plan. All of those things we teach in Rocky Retirement. Your next opportunity is coming up August 20th and 27th. And there's a very simple way that you can get enrolled. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that here. I'm going to share another screen here in just a second. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a link with you that you can go to enroll in the class. So let me get to that real quick. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste the link in the chat bar. So if you go to the chat, if you hover over, oh, there we go, for everybody. If you go down to your toolbar at the bottom and you'll see the bar that says, the button says chat, click on that, and what you're going to see is a link to enroll in my next class. All right. You just click that link, you answer a few questions, it's totally free. And what you're going to see is a page that looks like this once it comes up. All right, so it's going to look like this, and you can just click on the 20th date, click on 6:30 because it's from 6:30 to 8:30. Those are Thursday evenings. You hit confirm, you answer a few questions, and then you can get enrolled in the class. So that's how you can get enrolled in Rocky Retirement. Alternatively, you can also just email me. My email is damon@chappelwood.com. You can also give us a call at 405-348-0909. We'll get you enrolled over the phone. But it's a great class. I really love teaching it. We talk about this as well as many other topics and 5 key areas of retirement planning that you need to know. Let's see. Do we have any other questions here today? I don't see any other questions at this time. So you know what? We might go ahead and end lunch early today. How about that? Does that sound like a good idea? I'll stick around for a little bit, but if you need to log off here, that's perfectly fine. But thank you so much for joining us today. And if you've got any other questions about today's topic, make sure you come back every Wednesday because we're going to talk about something new every Wednesday. Just kind of whatever pops into my head. Or if you've got a specific topic that you would like for me to talk about in my next Wednesday Lunchtime Drive-Thru, I'll feature it next week. Send me a message right now in the Q&A or the chat. And if you've got a specific question, I'll feature it next week because if you've got the question, chances are a lot of other people have it as well. Let's see, any other questions about Social Security, anything else like that? Again, I did share the link to enroll in Rocky Retirement August 20th and 27th in the chat bar or the chat window. Just hover over that, click on that down at the bottom of your page, and you'll see that link. You can get enrolled in the class. All right, I don't think we have any other questions. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.